Most people fear a lack of control. Most people fear a lack of power. Most people fear a lack of societal support. Most women fear rape. Most women in Libya fear rape by the troops of Muammar Gaddafi. State-sanctioned rape, fortified with Viagra. Muammar Gaddafi is not new to the world. He took office in 1969. Since he took office in 1969, his name has become synonymous with execution, bombing of his own citizens, world terrorism, and other atrocities, including nuclear proliferation, and now the use of drug-enhancing rape. This man has done these atrocities to women, and it has gone virtually silent due to the society that it has happened. Psychologists in refugee camps placed a questionnaire and circulated throughout the residence. On this questionnaire, at the very bottom, they placed rape. 234 women answered yes. Not rape by one man, not rape by a citizen, but rape by the forces of Muammar Gaddafi. Why wasn't there screams of outrage? Why wasn't it publicized throughout the world? It's very simple. If these women came forward, society might hold them guilty. If they turned the evidence over to the government may imprison them for up to 5 years for adultery. And then for the second reason we have, Muammar Gaddafi, during his time in office, has kept the press, the world press, separate from his citizens. The press is housed in a hotel in Tripoli. They are not allowed to leave that hotel unless accompanied by a government official. So these women didn't have a place to go. They didn't have a voice to speak until March 26th. Of this year. This woman, Eman Obindi, came to that hotel in Tripoli, bruised, bleeding, with the story that she had been bound, beaten, raped by 15 of Muammar Gaddafi's men. She escaped to this hotel where the press were eating breakfast. When she began to tell her story, she had her head covered with a cloth. Employees at the hotel and plainclothes government men immediately removed her. During this course of time, when men of the press tried to protect her, they were pushed aside, pushed to the floor. CNN had their cameras broken in their desperation to remove her from the eyes of the press. Luckily, just that little time that she came into view of the world was enough time. She had alerted the Human Rights Watch that she existed, and they began asking questions. Who was she? Who was Iman? Well, the government had an answer for this. The answer that the government gave was that she was a single mother who made a living entertaining men, that she was mentally deranged, and when they asked if they could speak to her family, they were told her family was too ashamed. They would not speak. Well, the world press luckily found her parents. They were in rebel-secured area, and they spoke to them. One, she is a law student. She is not a mother. She has no history of mental instability. They were proud of her. And the only time that the government had spoken to them was when they called at 3 o'clock in the morning to ask the family to persuade her to change her story and to accept a house and money in exchange for that. The cries for Iman and her security continued. 6 weeks later, her name was once again, and her safety was once more secured. When at the beginning of May, with the help of a military officer who was defecting through Tunisia, with the help of papers, she made it to safety. She was able to speak to the press. It is through the disguise of a traditional head wrap that she was able to come and speak and become the voice of the women of Libya. She speaks of the freedom that she felt as she passed over that border. She speaks of the power that she feels. This woman speaks of power when she is not even able to tell which government is assisting her in her time of refuge. She has named countries, but not a single one, because she is still afraid that Muammar Gaddafi and his men will hunt her down and force her to change her story. And it's a story that needs to be told. It is a story that must be told. The use of rape as a military tool would be bad enough. But to fortify this man with the use of a drug enhancement of Viagra is absolutely, beyond doubt, a sin against humanity. The sin against humanity that the Viagra is proof that the government is behind these rapes. Muammar Gaddafi's government is behind these rapes. And these are not just simply acts of war or soldiers gone amok. In her speaking to this press, she is able to give a voice to thousands of women who have suffered from these atrocities. The International Criminal Court has begun investigations, and earlier this month, they issued a warrant for the arrest of Muammar Gaddafi. What does this warrant mean? It means that he does not get the opportunity to sneak and slip away into exile. He gets to be held accountable. As early as this morning, press releases from South Africa said that he was willing to accept an amnesty between the rebel forces and his government. But nowhere is he talking about stepping down. And the rebel forces are firm in their belief. They want a free Libya. Susan Rice, a U.S. ambassador for the United States, when it came before the forces of NATO in a quiet, closed-door meeting, admonished the men that this needs to be taken seriously. This needs to be treated as the crime that it is. And she reprimanded them for not having addressed it in the 2 earlier meetings that they had had. This woman, Iman,